I want you to do something for me right now. Stand up from that chair you're sitting in. Just stand up and don't look down at your shoes. What do you feel under your feet? Is it the solid, cold tile of a kitchen floor or the familiar texture of a rug? Or does it feel like you're standing on a layer of bubble wrap that just won't pop? Maybe it's worse than that. Maybe it feels like you're walking on thick cotton or a patch of dry grass even when you're inside. I've lived 81 years on this earth, and I've spent a good chunk of that time in Scottsdale, Arizona, where the ground is hard and the sun is honest. But I've talked to so many folks my age who tell me the same thing. They tell me they feel like they're losing the ground beneath them. They feel a buzzing, a tingling, or a numbness that makes every step feel like a gamble. My father, back in Columbus, Ohio, used to say that a man is only as good as the foundation he stands on. He spent 40 years on a factory floor, and by the time he retired, his foundation was starting to crumble. He didn't have the words for it back then, but we know what it is now. It's neuropathy. Most people who find their way to this channel have been told the same story by their doctors. They're told that because of their age, or maybe some trouble with blood sugar, or even old treatments from years ago, the nerves in their feet are just gone. They're told the wires are cut and the best they can do is take a pill, buy some thicker socks, and wait for the inevitable fall. I'm here to tell you that's a half-truth at best. I've spent my life in community health education, and I've seen enough to know that the human body is a lot more like a piece of fine machinery than a disposable toy. If a wire in your car's engine gets a little frayed, you don't just scrap the whole truck. You fix the connection. You find a way to get the signal through. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about rebuilding the road between your brain and your toes. It's not about magic tricks or expensive gadgets. It's about 4 simple challenges that remind your body how to talk to itself again. I remember when my wife Margaret was still with me back in 2019. We'd go for these long walks in the morning before the desert heat got too heavy. She was the one who noticed it first in me. She said, "Harold, you're looking at your feet more than you're looking at the scenery." And she was right. I was scared. I was losing that stable connection, and the world was starting to feel smaller because of it. I stopped wanting to go to the park with my grandkids because I was worried about a stray root or a patch of uneven gravel. My son Daniel is a physical therapist up in Denver, and when I told him about it, he didn't give me a lecture. He gave me a way back. He explained that our nervous system is a lot like an old neighborhood. Some roads might get washed out by a storm, but if you keep driving the route, the city eventually finds a way to pave a new path. They call it neuroplasticity in the books, but I call it just being stubborn enough to keep the lights on. Before we get into these 4 habits I've picked up, I want you to understand what's actually happening down there. Think of your nerves as electrical wires running from your head all the way down to your pinky toe. These wires are supposed to be wrapped in a protective coating, just like the wiring in a house. But over time, whether it's from poor circulation or sugar issues, that coating gets thin. The blood vessels that feed those nerves start to shrink. It's like a garden hose that's being stepped on. The water just can't get through to the plants at the end of the line. That burning or buzzing you feel, that's a short circuit. And the numbness, that's when the signal has dropped out completely. Your brain is asking your foot where it is, and the foot is shouting back, but the message is getting lost in the mail. This is why you feel like you're walking on cotton. Your brain is literally guessing where the floor is. The good news is that fresh blood and fresh oxygen are the best mechanics in the world. When you move in specific ways, you're forcing the brain to pay attention to those neglected outposts. You're sending a surge of oxygen down those tired pipes. I've been doing these 4 things for a few years now, and while I'm still 81, I can tell you that I'm not looking at my feet when I walk to the mailbox anymore. I'm looking at the mountains, and that's a victory I want for you too. The first habit is something I do almost every morning while I'm waiting for the coffee to brew. It's a simple march. You can do this sitting in a sturdy chair or standing up if you've got a good countertop to hold on to. If you're sitting, I want you to sit up tall, like there's a string pulling the top of your head toward the ceiling. Then just lift one knee toward the sky, then the other. I like to pump my arms along with it, just like I'm walking down the street in Columbus. I do this for about a minute. Now you might think a march is too simple to help a nerve problem, but Daniel explained to me that nerves are oxygen hungry. They're like an old engine that needs a good prime to get started. By marching, even while sitting, you're increasing your heart rate and opening up those blood vessels in your legs. You're flushing out the waste and delivering the groceries those nerves have been waiting for. It's the easiest way to tell your body that the workday has started. I usually do this during the commercial breaks when I'm watching the news in the evening too. It's a small thing, but after 60, those small things are the ones that save your life. If you can get that blood moving for just 60 seconds 3 or 4 times a day, you're giving those nerves a fighting chance to repair that protective coating. You're reminding the left and right sides of your brain that they need to work together to move those legs. It's a full system check, and it only takes a minute of your time. The second thing I do is what I call the rocker. This is about waking up the muscles that actually control your balance. I'll be standing by the kitchen sink, holding onto the edge, and I'll slowly lift both of my heels up until I'm on the balls of my feet. I can feel my calf muscles working hard. Then I'll lower them down and immediately lift my toes up off the floor, so I'm resting on my heels. I just rock back and forth like that. 10 times, maybe 20 if I'm feeling particularly good. Most of us, as we get older, start to shuffle. We're so afraid of tripping that we stop picking our feet up properly. Our calf muscles get tight, and the muscles on the front of our shins get weak. It's like a car with the alignment out of whack. It's going to pull to one side and wear out the tires faster. This rocking motion is how you realign your foundation. It trains your brain to pick those toes up again, which is the best insurance policy against a fall that I've ever found. I've noticed that when I do this regularly, my ankles feel more flexible, and they don't feel like they're made of old dry leather anymore. They feel like they've got a little bit of grease in the joints. If you find your shins burning a bit when you lift those toes, don't be alarmed. That's just a muscle waking up after a long nap. Most of us walk on flat, predictable floors all day, and those stabilizing muscles just get lazy. We want to wake them up. We want them to be ready for when we step on a bit of uneven carpet or a crack in the sidewalk. That's how you keep your independence, by making sure your equipment is ready for the job. The third thing is something that surprised me when Laura first mentioned it. She's an RN, and she's always looking at the big picture. She told me that balance isn't just about the feet. It's about the middle of you, your core. She had me start doing these diagonal chops while I was sitting in my favorite armchair. You sit at the edge of the seat, plant your feet firmly on the floor, and I mean really push them down into the rug, and you clasp your hands together. You start with your hands down by your left hip, then you sweep them up across your body until they're high over your right shoulder. Then you go back down. It's like you're throwing a bag of mulch over your shoulder. You do it 10 times on one side, then 10 times on the other. This does 2 things. First, by pushing your feet into the floor, you're creating a physical connection that tells your brain exactly where the ground is. It's like turning up the volume on a radio that's been fuzzy for years. Second, it forces your core to stay stable while your weight is shifting. If your middle is strong and steady, It doesn't matter as much if your feet are a little bit numb. Your body knows how to stay upright because the center is solid. It's a full body conversation. Your brain is talking to your shoulders, your stomach, and your feet all at the same time. That's a lot of electrical traffic on those wires. And that traffic is exactly what helps those nerves rebuild their pathways. I like to think of this one as a coordination drill. It's easy to get into a habit of moving only in straight lines as we get older. We walk straight, we sit straight, we lie down straight. But the world isn't a straight line. We have to reach for things in the pantry. We have to turn to talk to a friend. We have to step around a dog in the hallway. These diagonal movements keep your nervous system flexible. They keep the communication lines open. And they remind you that you're still a whole person, not just a set of legs that don't quite work right. The fourth habit is the one that really tests your mettle. It's a balance challenge, but we do it safely. I usually stand in the corner of my spare bedroom facing out. That way I've got a wall right behind me and a wall on my side if I need to lean. I put a sturdy chair in front of me for my hands. I'll put all my weight on my right leg, and I'll just touch my left toes to the floor behind me, like a kickstand on a bicycle. I don't lift the leg completely. That's for the youngsters or the folks who haven't had a scare yet. I just use those back toes for a little bit of security. And here's the secret. Don't lock your standing knee. Keep it just a little bit soft. When you lock your knee, you're resting on your bones. When you keep it soft, you're forcing your muscles to do the work. I'll stand there and I'll try to just use one finger on the chair. I can feel my ankle making all these tiny, frantic adjustments. It's wobbling like a leaf in the wind. That wobble used to scare me. I thought it meant I was weak. But Daniel told me that wobble is actually the sound of my nervous system firing at 100 miles an hour. It's my brain and my foot figuring out how to keep me stable. It's a high-speed conversation that's rebuilding those frayed wires. I'll hold that for 30 seconds, then I'll switch legs. It's a wake-up call for the nerves. It's telling them that they can't slack off anymore. They have a job to do, and we're going to practice until they get it right. If you find that's too hard, just put that back foot down a little firmer. If it's too easy, try to let go of the chair for a second or two. The goal isn't to be a tightrope walker. The goal is to be someone who can stand at the kitchen counter and chop an onion without feeling like they might tip over. It's about being able to stand in line at the post office and not have to look for a wall to lean against. That's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for the right to stand on our own 2 feet without fear. I know how it feels when the doctor looks at you and gives you that sympathetic little tilt of the head. I know the feeling of opening a bottle of pills and thinking that this is all there is for the rest of your life. But I'm 81, and I'm telling you that there is more to the story. Your nerves are resilient. Your brain is adaptable. You just have to give them a reason to try. These 4 habits, the march, the rocker, the chop, and the kickstand, they aren't a cure-all and they don't work overnight. It takes time. It takes being willing to do them when you're tired or when you'd rather just sit on the sofa and watch the desert sun go down. But I've seen what happens when you don't do them. I've seen the world shrink down to the size of a single room because a person is too scared to walk across the hallway. I've seen folks stop visiting their neighbors because the driveway has a bit of a slope to it. I don't want that for you. I don't want you to let your world get small because you think your foundation is gone. You can rebuild it. You can pave those new roads. It starts with 1 minute of marching while your coffee is brewing. It starts with a few rocks on your heels while you're brushing your teeth. I've had days where my feet felt like they were encased in lead. Days where the burning was enough to make me want to stay in bed and pull the covers over my head. But then I'd think about my father and how he never complained even when his legs were heavy from a 10-hour shift. I'd think about my grandkids and how they expect me to be there for their graduations and their weddings. and I'd stand up. I'd grab the back of that sturdy chair Margaret and I bought 40 years ago, and I'd start my march. And you know what? After a few minutes, the buzzing would quiet down. The fog would lift just a little bit. The floor would start to feel like a floor again. There's a kind of peace that comes with knowing you're doing everything you can. It's a quiet determination. You aren't promising yourself a miracle. You're just promising yourself that you won't give up without a fight. And that fight is won in the small, boring moments of a Tuesday afternoon. It's won in the kitchen, in the bedroom corner, and in the living room. It's won by a person who understands that after 60, the small habits are the ones that carry the most weight. I want you to think about which of these 4 things you can start today. Don't try to do them all at once if you're feeling shaky. Just pick one. Maybe it's the march. Start there. Do it twice today. Then do it again tomorrow. Your body doesn't ask twice in the same way, but it does respond when you show it some respect. It does its best to meet you halfway. I've seen it in my own life, and I've seen it in the lives of the people I've worked with for decades. It's getting toward that time of day here in Scottsdale where the shadows start to stretch out long across the yard. The heat is finally letting go of the windows, and there's a little bit of a breeze coming off the desert. I'm going to go inside in a minute and get my dinner started. But before I do, I want you to remember that you aren't alone in this. There are thousands of us out here, all feeling that same buzzing and that same worry. We're all trying to keep our feet under us and our eyes on the horizon. And as long as we keep moving, as long as we keep challenging these tired wires, the lights stay on. I'd like to know which of these sensations you're dealing with right now. Is it that burning, tingling feeling, or is it more of a numbness, like you're walking on cotton? I spend my evenings reading through the notes people leave me, and it helps me feel like I'm still part of the conversation, even with Margaret gone. We can learn from each other. We can help each other stay steady. So tell me what's happening with your foundation. It matters to me. There is still plenty of time to turn things around. Don't let anyone tell you that your nerves are a lost cause. They're just waiting for a signal. They're waiting for you to stand up and tell them that the work isn't done yet. You've got a lot of road left to travel, and you deserve to feel every step of it. Take care of yourselves, stay consistent with those small movements, and don't you dare stop looking for the solid ground. I think I'll head in now and see what Daniel and the grandkids are up to. They usually call around this time. It's a good life, even with a bit of a wobble now and then. You keep moving, you keep fighting for that independence, and I'll be right here on this porch, ready to talk again when you need it. We've got a lot to do, and there's no sense in waiting for tomorrow to start. I'll see you soon.